Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here, coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Fallout 76 and what a roller coaster of emotions this particular title has been. All the way from the original unveiling at E3, where I was pretty pumped about it. I was like, dude, this looks like it's going to be so much fun with all of these systems that they're working on, with the multiplayer aspects of the game. It just seemed like it was going to be the Fallout for me, to the point where I actually played the entirety of Fallout 4 in anticipation to get more familiar with the systems that were going to be present in Fallout 76, which, by the way, I enjoyed greatly playing through Fallout 74. Teamed up with the Brotherhood of Steel and nuked the crap out of the Commonwealth, because that was the thing to do. Purge the heretics. But anyway, continuing onwards, as the game started moving towards the beta, I began having my expectations quite a bit lowered, because they were like, oh, by the way, there's not going to be progression wipes between the beta and the final release, which essentially kind of transformed the beta into a form of early access. And I still don't like that they did that, if I'm going to be completely honest. But that was like my first step back. I was like, oh man, what the hell? And then I actually played the beta on PC. And it was also like the frame rate was all over the place. Then again, like I said, I do have a bit of an old rig with GTX 970, but I felt that the performance was weird. There were a lot of glitches, there were a lot of bugs, and people were exploiting the game and getting like massive amounts of experience and rewards before the game even came out by taking advantage of some of the bugs in the game. I still don't know how Bethesda tackled that on the PC side of things, but ultimately, needless to say that after the beta, I was a little bit bummed out, right? Because like coming in from all that excitement that I got at the E3 unveiling and all of that, going into the announcement of the beta, into the beta itself, I got a little bit bummed out. And then we had the launch day adventure that I kind of did that video yesterday talking about how I pre-ordered the game because I was going to be able to get it cheaper. Then the pre-order thing didn't work, and I had to cancel my pre-order, had to run out, get a retail copy because I wanted to stream it day one. And if you guys remember, during that story, I told you that at one point I even contacted the people that I knew that publish Bethesda games in Portugal. I said, hey, can you guys give me a code? They were like, oh, the dude that handles the codes for Bethesda is not in the office. And I was like, oh, man. Well, 2 hours after I actually started my live stream, they sent me a review code, which I thought was really funny. I'm thankful, don't get me wrong, I'm thankful that they sent me a review code, but I still thought it was a funny, like, if you consider all of the events, right, leading up to that live stream that I did last night and then receiving the review code during the live stream, it was just like, it's such a weird thing. It is a roller coaster of emotions with this game. But anyways, let's actually talk about my feelings on it. At this point, I played about 8 hours of it, which is not even close to actually get into some of the more endgame stuff, which I will be getting into, and I will be making subsequent videos talking about it, because one thing is for sure, and I know that my opinion on Fallout 76 isn't going to make me any new friends, but I had a lot of fun last night. And I know that a lot of people are going to be upset because I bought the game, retail, and I did all these things. And a lot of people are probably even going to be upset that I had fun with it because they consider this Fallout to be an inferior product to what they wanted, what they want, actually, out of the Fallout universe. And I respect that. I respect that. I understand that you guys are disappointed. Having been someone who's been also extremely disappointed over a recent announcement that we all know about, I've become much more sympathetic to that particular situation. I have to say, prior to that, I was like, man, I mean, you guys are going to get your Fallout eventually. You guys are going to get the next thing. I think it's nice that they're experimenting on the multiplayer side of things, but I understand. I understand where you guys are coming from, and I just want you guys to know that I understand how you feel about this game. But at the same time, like I said, I had a lot of fun with it last night, and saying otherwise is a lie. You guys can check out the live stream. I will link it on the pinned comment if you guys want to see my actual real-time reactions as I was playing through the game. So the first thing that I got to talk about is the very positive surprise that I had when I logged into the PS4 version of the game, because the version that I got was the PS4. I had always planned on playing the PS4 version. The reason I got the I played the beta on the PC was because Kegron was able to get me a PC key so that I could test it out. But my original plan has always been to play it on the PS4 because I think a majority of the Iron Breakers are on the PS4. So anyone that wants to eventually play with me during the live streams, you guys can just join in on the sessions and all that stuff. And also I have a bunch of friends that also own PS4s and they are interested in playing this. So I'll be able to play it with them as well. So ultimately, that was always going to be my objective, was to play it on PS4. So once I booted up the PS4 version, I was surprised because, one, the game didn't explode. And I know. It was something that I expected, to be honest, like considering the way that the launch of Fallout 4 went when the game came out, that it was broken on so many fundamental levels. And that's not to say that there are not problems in this game. There are. I will talk about them. But ultimately, my expectations were pretty low. Like, the simple fact that the game didn't blow up when I booted up the game was surprising. Now, there were problems, starting with the way that they do patches in this game. Like, seriously, Bethesda, come on. It's the way that they patch this game, you guys, is they just send you the whole game. And if that's not what they're doing, I don't know what is. But because basically every time there's a patch on Fallout 76, it's a 50 gigabyte download. Okay? It's just like, here's the full game again. Which was weird because, like, I think I actually had at one point in my console probably like 100 gigs of Fallout occupied because it was installing the game. It was installing the 50 gigs of the game on the hard drive. And at the same time, it was downloading 50 more. But anyway, I'm staying a little bit too long on this particular topic. Like, Bethesda, fix the way that you patch Fallout 76, please. So the game didn't explode. The performance was actually quite reasonable, which, again, like I said, I played it on the PC and the frame rates were all over the place on the PC, whereas I got into the console and with super sampling off, I think that's important. If you're on a PlayStation 4 Pro, you probably want to turn off super sampling because I noticed that there was an improvement in performance there. With super sampling off, it was pretty much smooth 30 FPS throughout most of it. And I know that for PC players and stuff, oh, smooth 30, terrible. And it's like, I understand you guys want higher FPS and all that stuff. Not criticizing you, but you know, this is what you would expect for a game like this on a console. So the fact that it was running mostly at smooth 30 FPS, the visuals look okay. They don't look fantastic. It looks very much like a slightly improved version of Fallout 4 when it comes to visuals, when it comes to animations, because it is pretty much the same engine. This game was in development at the same time as Fallout 4, so it was kind of to be expected. If you guys don't know, you guys should watch the No Clip documentary where they talked about all of this stuff. You just YouTube search No Clip Fallout 76. You'll be able to find it. Bethesda themselves said, we were working on this game while we were working on Fallout 4, and then eventually we decided we wanted to make it into its own thing. Now, like I said, in terms of performance, I was surprised that it was running as smoothly, that it didn't break as often. Your mileage may vary there depending on whether you have a regular PS4, PS4 Pro. I was playing on PS4 Pro and I have a hybrid hard drive, so it has the little bit of SSD that makes loading a little bit faster than normal after you've loaded something for the first time. But overall, I was not like disappointed in the performance. Like, I would have liked better, of course, but we all know how Bethesda games tend to run, which is not an excuse, but I'm just saying that inside of my expectations, it was all right. It was not great. It was not amazing. It was okay. In the 8 hours of live stream that I've done, I've had one disconnect from the online servers, and that is a big problem that a lot of people have with this game, and I sympathize with that, and I completely agree that the fact that it's always online is bothersome, particularly because they also tell you you can play this game by yourself, which you can, but ultimately you still need to connect to the Bethesda servers, and you still need to be online the whole time. And right now you can't even do private servers, which is something that they've said you will be able to do in the future. You'll be able to have private servers where it's just you and your friends, which that is something that I'm actually looking forward to. I want to have like an Ironbreaker server that only people from the Ironbreaker community can join in and have fun and whatnot. But ultimately, right now, even if you are playing by yourself, you're always going to be exposed to other players, and you're always going to be exposed to a certain level of griefing. Even though, you know, a lot of people were concerned that players were going to run around and people are going to be able to just destroy you and murder you repeatedly. You actually can't do that at all. It's completely optional. I didn't do a whole lot of PvP in the beta. I did a little bit, but this time around we did end up in this situation where I was wanted, and I will talk more about that. But basically, if you have concerns about PvP, I was, I think, level 9, and I was in a party with other people that we were all around level 9, and we basically unloaded onto this level 10 player who was not like, he did not accept our challenge, anything, and we couldn't even damage him. So the PvP is entirely optional. It's only if you feel like you want to shoot at someone. Like if someone shoots at you and you shoot back, then it's on. Like you guys are fighting, that's it. Once one of you dies, it's over. That's it. That's the way it goes, okay? Although I do want to get into a couple more details in terms of the wanted level because there are problems there. But before we get there, let's talk about the important thing that a lot of people are talking about right now, which is the fact that there are no NPCs in the game. Is that a really negative thing in terms of Fallout 76? Yes, it is. It's a really bad thing that there are no NPCs in the game because players essentially get a feeling that they don't really have that much of an agency in the world, in the universe of Fallout 76. And if we look at how the game works, from what I can tell so far, you really don't have that much of an agency. There's no such thing as the traditional decision-making moments where you're interacting with NPCs and there's dialogue. There's none of that. There's literally none of that. When it comes to you having an impact on the world, there is a couple of things where you do have an impact, but not in the way that you would think. So for instance, you would have an impact by claiming a camp in a certain location and building up a structure, which by the way, the building, way better than in Fallout 4. In my personal opinion, I thought the building in Fallout 4 sucked ass. I couldn't even do a goddamn square. Whereas in 76, I feel they fleshed that out a little bit more. It's still not perfect, but it's not even in the same league as Fallout 4. And I'm sure that some people will say, oh, but this mod and that mod fixed building. I believe you. But like, I played the base game. I didn't do any modding in Fallout 4, and it's just like the base version of how you do build in that game, to me, was terrible. Again, personal opinion, you guys feel free to completely disagree with that. Whereas in here, the building is better, and through you building your camp and whatnot, and through you taking over the workshops and stuff, that is where you can have some of an impact in the world. But the biggest impact that you can have in the world is finding the nuclear codes and launching a nuke. Now, the thing is, when I say impact on the world, you have an impact on whatever server you happen to be on, because pretty much whenever you log into the game, there's a bunch of instances of servers. It's not like one big server where every player is, because there's way too many players for that. So in a way, you almost have to look at it as sharding in World of Warcraft, if you're familiar with that term. Basically, there's multiple instances of each zone, multiple instances of the world, and you log into one instance of the world with a random set of players. Usually, I think that they do matchmaking to match people that are around your level. I think the highest discrepancy that I saw on our server was when we were level 10 and a level 28 player attacked our workshop. But ultimately, that's the way that stuff works. You're going to have impact on that server by building your camp, by taking over workshops, by launching the nuclear strikes, which I personally haven't done yet because, like I said, I've only played 8 hours. So in terms of storytelling, the stuff that you can expect from the story, to be honest, I don't care that much for it because storytelling is done through holotapes. And this is something I've been told because I did not go too much out of my way when I played Fallout 4. I've been told that this also happened in other Fallout games. You actually experience a lot of interesting stories in other Fallout games by essentially seeking out holotapes throughout the world and documents and stuff like that. That actually tell you these separate stories, and that a lot of people find these interesting as well. Now, in Fallout 76, the entire mainline story is told like this. You're constantly running around, you're finding Overseer's holotapes, where she tells you the story of when she came out of the vault and the things that she was doing. I'm assuming that by the time, if you do this entire quest line, you'll eventually reach the dead body of the Overseer. That's what I would assume. I still don't know. But ultimately, that is one of the things that I've said in a lot of my videos, that is a big portion of the story is following in the footsteps of dead people. Now, the thing here is I kind of find all of that content, like the holotapes and all of these things, to be the content for people to do when they are playing solo. If you are playing solo, those might be the things that you find interesting. You know, listening to the holotapes, just getting immersed into the world, exploring and all that stuff when you are playing solo. When you're playing with friends, and that is when I had the most fun with the game, hands down. And again, you go back to that whole thing where people say, oh, but even a garbage game is fun with friends. I still don't think that Fallout 76 is a garbage game. That's my honest opinion. You can take it or leave it. But ultimately, I did have a lot of fun with friends. And that's the thing. In this game, this is one of those sandbox games where you need to make your own fun. It reminded me in a lot of ways to Elite Dangerous, which there isn't like a narrative in Elite Dangerous that is guiding you by the hand. There is a narrative, there's the Thargoids, and there's all of these things, right? But it's not like it's front and center. Front and center is you, your character, your adventure, what you are doing. They will give you activities like, hey, go over here, kill some stuff, go over there, do these things. It's the same thing that they do in Fallout 76. In a lot of ways, it feels like an MMO, like over here, kill 10 boars. But in a different way, because it's not something like go and kill 10 boars. For instance, yesterday we did a quest where we went into this boot camp and we had like these robots, which are essentially like drill sergeants. They act like drill sergeants, telling you, you maggot, you go over here and you do this. How dare you not show up in your uniform? So that was an interesting quest. And it is way better than just go out and kill 10 boars, right? You're actually interacting with things and they're telling you this thing about this camp and whatnot. And eventually it all culminates into an encounter where you're killing a bunch of communist robots. But the whole point of it is not everyone is going to find that fun, because a lot of people will want to do the quests where they actually change the world, the quests that actually have a meaningful impact. And in the grand scheme of things, whether or not I did that quest, me and Kegrin, we both did that quest in the stream last night. The whole point of it is that we could have just as well done it or not done it, and the world wouldn't change one bit. The only difference is that we got a couple of rewards out of it. And that's pretty much it. And that's the thing. I think you can kind of extrapolate from that a lot of how the quests work in Fallout 76. It's you go out into the world, you find something, and if you find it interesting, you participate in that activity. If you don't find it interesting, you don't participate in that activity. But the most fun parts of the game was when basically me and Kegrin be like, okay, let's go over this place, and everything we find along the way, we'll figure it out, we'll explore, we'll do whatever. And that is how you make your own fun. Now, last night we also had Franz, a German spy, join us because he's apparently also trying out Fallout 76. And we had even more fun when he started joining in because, you know, I like playing games with Franz. It's always good times. We played Moss on a World a while back. And, you know, that's the whole thing. It is making your own fun and playing with friends. I don't think that it is as much fun if you're playing with complete strangers. Because, you know, you're not going to have the usual conversation, the usual shit talking that you have with friends. Like we made Franz wear a dress because it was funny. And that was one of the more funny moments of that live stream. It's like Franz showing up in a dress. And that's the thing. It's the dumb things. It's the going out up, like in terms of combat, the game is fine. You go up and you kill stuff and you loot stuff. You get rewards. Or you go out and you quest and you do things and you get rewards. You get the workshops and you get rewarded for doing the workshop events, and then you can build on the workshops and all of that stuff. But ultimately, it's like whether or not you take over the workshop is not what matters. It's whether or not it is fun, the fun that you had in taking over it. Now, like I said, there's a lot of things that I have a problem with the game. One of the things is the holotapes. Because I don't think it's a good system when you are playing with friends to do a quest where everyone has to listen to the holotapes if they want to know what's going on. Because if you're playing with friends, you're all chit-chatting. You're not friggin' sitting around like, okay, everybody shut up. I got to listen to this holotape. Which is another thing. I find it interesting that they didn't think of a system where, you know, since we have to kind of listen to these holotapes, at least let us like Have someone that can just say, hey, I'm going to press this button, and everyone in the party can listen to this one holotape. Why can't there be a system like that? Because essentially, if we wanted to listen to the same holotape simultaneously, we'd have to like, okay, everybody, load up the holotape, 3, 2, 1, press go. Right? Why can't there be a system to at least simultaneously everyone listen to the holotape? And then there's also the fact that some of these holotapes are glitched. So like you'll hit the play button and you get this staticky sound. And I think the static sound that you hear is like the holotape actually loading the wave file or whatever. And sometimes it won't load. So I had this holotape and I pressed the button and I start hearing this static sound, but nothing comes on. So I'm thinking, okay, so this is like some kind of a little Easter egg thing that they did where this holotape is going to load like after 30 seconds or after a minute of static. And I think I ran around for like 15 minutes listening to static, and it was a glitch. I had to stop the holotape, play it again, and it started playing out perfectly. And I was just like, what the hell? So see, there's a lot of little things like that are annoying. Then there's bigger things, like Kegren has reported to me that there was a quest bug that he ran into on the PC side of things where he could not progress a certain quest line because he couldn't interact with certain objects. And, you know, that kind of stuff still happens. There's still quite a bit of jank that they need to patch. I've heard people complain about the voice system. Personally, I thought the voice system worked fine for me because you can go into the audio and you can just select how do you want it to work. You want it to work by area, you want it to work by team, and I just set voice system to team and it seemed to work okay. I didn't really have any problems with the voice system. One of the things that I didn't like was the wanted level. The reasoning behind it is because I can go up to a player, I can shoot him across the face multiple times, nothing happens. But I went up to a player, he had a construction, I went up to his house, and he went inside his house and locked the door. And, you know, I thought it was funny. Oh, why did you lock the door, dude? And so I bashed the door a little bit, and I just tapped it once with my rifle, right? Boom, instantly wanted. And I was like, oh, okay, that's how that works. And I did a little bit of damage to the door, but it's like I didn't intend to break the guy's house. I just thought it'd be funny if I knocked on the door with the weapon, right? So I became wanted. And then I was like, okay, so now I'm wanted. What's the big deal? And there was this player that started chasing after me. I had to kill him a bunch of times, poor guy. But dude started chasing after me because I was wanted. He would not let go. And so I was like, okay, so we had to murder that poor guy about 6 or 7 times. And while we were doing that, I was checking like the help menus, like how do you get out of wanted? How does the karma system work? And Kegren looked it up online. Apparently you don't. You have to die to lose your wanted level. And I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you have to die to lose wanted level? Why can't it be like a proper karma system where basically you can work towards society. You can go kill monsters and then eventually the karma level would drop. And the more people you kill, the more people you harass, the worse your karma level gets, which means you have to do more things to fix it. Like, that would be a cool system, but simply, a system where it's like, no, you're just wanted, and that's it, and you're gonna be wanted until you die. I don't like that. I'd like to have a much more engaged karma system, but then again, that's one of the things that they can work on, they can improve on, they can change that stuff. Whether or not they're going to do it, I don't know. But yeah, it's like I said at the start, it is a bit of a roller coaster of emotions. I think a lot of people expect me to just jump on here and trash the crap out of the game, and it's like, that's not the way that I feel, because I had a lot of fun last night playing it. And it's a weird thing, because I really had fun. At the same time, there were things that really annoyed me, like the whole holotape thing. I just, whenever I jump onto Fallout 76, the last thing that I want to do is be led by the nose by the holotapes. Maybe that part of it is just not for me, but it is something that I could see someone that is interested in Fallout lore and figuring out how the world works, and they're just like really lore buffs in terms of Fallout. I could see some people finding that part of it interesting. But to me, the interesting part is just, running around, scavenging, finding interesting things, and just exploring the world. And like I said, I played 8 hours. I think at this point I'm about level 10 or maybe level 11. I'm not 100% sure. So that means there's still plenty of content that I haven't experienced, plenty of things that I haven't seen. And even if someone can make the argument, yeah, but you know, if you're not following the story, if you're just not really engaging with all of these quests that the game is doing to you, how long before that stuff gets old? Well, I don't know, but definitely longer than 8 hours at this point. And I'll be following up on this video with more the more I play of this. If you guys want to check out, I'm going to be playing more over on Twitch to, you know, because I'm enjoying it and I'm playing with Kegger and probably going to play with Franz tonight as well. And that's kind of how I feel about it. I know that it's weird. I think a lot of people just want to know, but is it good or is it bad? And it's like, there's no easy answer. Like, to a lot of people, this is not their Fallout. A lot of other people, they might actually find it fun. Oh yeah, and VATS. A lot of people will want to know about VATS. How does VATS feel? Feels weird. That's the easiest way to say it. It's like, it doesn't feel like completely unintuitive once you get like the concentrated fire perk so that you can actually select the different parts and whatnot. It doesn't feel completely unintuitive, but at the same time, it does feel weird because when you VATS, it essentially locks onto your target. So it's almost like a, you know, like in a third-person action game, when you lock on, the camera starts rotating around automatically, which for a first-person game feels really weird. But you lock onto your target, and then you have the percentage chance of hitting the different parts of the body. But the reason why it feels weird is because you're moving at the same time. You're moving while VATS is on, and while VATS is on, you're now regenerating AP. So it really limits how many shots you can take with VATS. So it's not like, for instance, Fallout 4, a lot of times I'd be able to like, yeah, I'm going to pull up VATS, boom, shoot that, pull up VATS again, boom, recover some action, pull out VATS again, boom. You're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to do that because you are spending action points for doing other things. Like maybe you have to jump while you are in combat with something, and that spends AP. Any action that you take spends AP. So you're not going to be able to make every single shot that you take be a VATS shot because that also takes AP. So you're never going to be as into VATS as you were in previous Fallouts. But at the same time, VATS does work if you're not particularly good at aiming, or if you're playing on a console like I am, and it's a little bit harder to line up the headshots just right. VATS will do that for you, so long as you have the appropriate perks that take advantage of it. And me personally, I'm diving deep into the luck stat, because I think that there's a lot of fun things that can happen with that. So that's the reason why I'm going to be using a lot more VATS than usual. But I don't know. At this point in time, like I said, I'm still having fun with it. It's not for everyone. It is definitely not for everyone. But at the same time, I don't think it's as bad as everybody else is trying to make it out to be. But that is one man's opinion, like I said. I know that this is not going to be the most popular opinion, but I'm not here to be popular. I'm here to tell you how I feel about certain video games and whether or not they're right for you. And hopefully this helps you with that. And if it doesn't, then I'm sorry. But this is how I feel about Fallout 76. I'll have more for you guys in the future as I play more of the game. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, notifications, all that stuff. If you didn't enjoy the video, definitely hit the dislike button because that feedback is also important. But more important even is to leave that feedback in the form of a comment. I read every comment, which is why I know that a lot of you guys did not like the video yesterday, but a lot of you guys also did. So it's kind of a weird thing. And anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.